Hey, June R 629. I'm sorry, I was I was out of the country actually. I flew on vacation this weekend up until today. Today. I literally came back like 2 hours ago, and I forgot my laptop cord because European laptop cords are different. And yeah, I didn't see your message. I'm terribly sorry. I know it was due yesterday, and this is gonna be a little late. But I figured, if I explain this to you, it's probably better than if I don't. Again, I'm really sorry, but I hope this video still will help you. So yeah, I guess let's get to it. I probably will need 2 messages for this, just because 5 problems are a little bit longer. Let me get my markers here. Alright. First question is, solve the quadratic by completing a square. X squared minus 2x minus 15 is 0. Now, first thing is, when you are completing the square, you have to make sure that the leading coefficient, meaning the coefficient of the x squared value when it's quadratic, has to be 1. Okay, there has to be like nothing here. It has to be 1. Okay, if it's not divided through, so like if this was a 2, make this -1 and make this -7.5 or 15 over 2. Okay, that's important because otherwise it'll not work. Alright, so what you do is you make yourself a little parenthesis set right here. You do x squared minus 2x. You copy the first 2 like so, and then you leave a blank. Alright? Then you copy the last term, this guy, and write -15 right here. And then you draw a second blank term right here. Actually, it's not. That's right. Okay? So now, figure out what the last 2, what these 2 blue things are. You have to take the middle guy, this thing, -2. Okay, that's the coefficient of the second term, so the x term. Okay, you take that, and here's what you do. You take middle term or middle coefficient, and you do square it. And then, actually, other way around. My bad. Divide by 2. Divide by 2, and then square it. My bad for the mix-up. It's been a while since I've done this. Alright? So now, in our example, our number is -2. So take -2. Right? Oh, yeah. -2 right here. And now it says divide by 2. That equals to -1. And then take -1. Square it. -1 squared is 1. Alright? So now, 1 is the number you need. It's the blue number, if you will. So that means over here we get +1. Okay? And over here, this is the important part. Because we put +1 here, we have to put -1 here because this is still an equation. This all equals 0, so they have to cancel out. Alright? So whatever you do over here, 1, because it came out to be 1, you have to do the opposite over here, so -1. Alright? Let me put this in a little box over here. Okay? Now you can put stuff together. Let me find my eraser. Alright? So, first thing, you factor this. Alright? If you don't know how to factor, you can use quadratic formula. If you don't know how to use the quadratic formula, wait for problem number 2. It has how to do it. So I'm just going to factor right now, because that's easier. So I'm going to say, right here, I have x and x. Alright? Alright, so which 2 numbers give you 1? Positive 1. You got 1 and 1, and you got negative 1, you got negative 1. That's the only two possibilities that you can multiply. Now, what you also have to consider is which one of these possibilities added together will give you negative 2. 1 plus 1 is obviously positive 2, so that's not it. Minus 1 is negative 2, so that's the answer. So we're going to take this guy right here. So x minus 1, x minus 1. To make sure that works, I'll just quickly FOIL. X times x is x squared, that's good. Negative x becomes negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, so we're good. I'm going to erase my work over here. I'm going to keep going. Negative 15 minus 1 is negative 16. So we'll write that over here. Equals 0. Okay? So here's the cool part about this stuff. X minus 1, you have twice multiplying to each other. So it's the same thing as writing x minus 1 squared, like so. And then you have minus 16 equals 0. Yes? Now you can work with this and say that x minus 1 squared equals 16. So what I did, I moved the 16 over there because I added to both sides. And now to solve for 16, we're going to go over here, or solve for x, because that's what you have to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to write it back over here one more time. Square root of this and square root of this. Now if I take the square root of this, the squared side is going to disappear and you get x minus 1 equals. Now the square root of 16 is 4, but it's plus or minus 4. Keep that in mind. So I'm going to actually make that red. Alright? So what happens now is you have two possible scenarios, right? Because you have plus and minus. So what you're going to do is, I like doing it like this. I draw myself a little, whatever you want to call it, what's it called? A table. I don't know. And you say x minus 1 equals, first option, positive 4. X minus 1 equals, second option, negative 4. And now you solve. Over here, plus 1 on both sides, x equals to 5. On the other side, plus 1 to both sides, x equals negative 3. And these are your two answers for this problem. Alright, so the tricky part about this is take the middle number, the middle coefficient, don't square the x or anything. Just take the middle coefficient, so negative 2 for this case, divide by 2 and square it. And then just solve for it. Alright, so now the second example, or second problem, use the quadratic formula to solve x squared plus 12x plus 19. So for this, what you do is, first of all, you have to know your quadratic formula. It's x equals, actually, let me write that over here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright? So how do you find a, b, and c? Now, let's write these out. A, b, c. You take the leading coefficients of each one of these terms. Alright? Now, for x squared, you don't have a leading coefficient, it's just 1. Alright? So that means a. This is a, this is b, this is c. So that means a is going to be 1. For b, you have positive 12x. So the coefficient is positive 12. So b is 12. For c, plus 19, it's the coefficient. It doesn't have, it's a constant really. It doesn't have a variable with the coefficient with. That's not English. But it's going to be 19 because that's all that's left. Alright? So now you have to plug these guys into here. So let's write this out right here. Negative b. B is 12. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Again, b is 12. Minus 4a, a is 1. C is 19. X equals all over 2a. And A, again, is 1. Alright? Or, shoot. Let's see, keep it consistent. Yes. There we go. Alright? So, I'm going to start with solving under the square root, because that's just simple. So 12 squared is actually, I'm going to just write it over here. Actually, I should write it directly under, so you don't get confused. Here. I'll write it right here. Alright, here I got negative 12 plus or minus the square root. Okay, so 12 squared. Pendant, we're following orders of operation. That's not good. I just threw on my wall. Okay. Orders of operation, we got the squared symbol inside of the parentheses, inside of the square root, so that's the thing we're going to solve first. So we're going to do 12 squared. 12 squared is 144. You can't use your calculator to solve that. Minus 4 times 1 times 19. 4 times 19 is 76. 38, yeah. Over 2 times 1 is 2. Alright? So now, we're going to keep going. Negative 12 plus or minus the square root. 144 minus 76 is 68. Yeah, that's right. Okay. All over 2. Now, 68 is a, can simplify this radical. So, thing is, every teacher teaches it different, how to simplify a radical. So, what you have to do is you just have to pick out as many terms that go into 68 that are common. You have to pick out pairs. So the way I do it is I just pick up terms up here. So the smallest term that's in 68 is 2, and 68 divided by 2 is 34. There's another 2 in 34, which then gives you 17. And 17 is a prime number, therefore that stays in the middle. You got a pair of 2, so simplified it would be 2 root 17. Okay? Again, this is just my method. This might confuse you because you have not learned it this way. But basically just use the method you learned to simplify a square root. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep working here. I'm gonna waste space. I'm gonna write 2 square root of 17. Now, this 2 right here, it divides into, if you divide it divides into negative 12 and it divides into 2. So what you get is negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 17. And that is equal to x. You cannot simplify this any further. Okay, keep in mind that if you divide by 2 and there's addition or subtraction over here, you have to divide 2 into both of these terms. If it's multiplying, which it's not, I'm going to do it for quadratic formula, you can't just divide it once. So that's the answer to the second problem. Alright, so third problem, and after this I probably will stop. F of x equals 10 plus 7x plus x squared, and you're supposed to sketch the graph, the quadratic. It's quadratic because it's x squared, and you have to identify a vertex, intercepts, and equation of axis of symmetry. Now, let's quickly go over what all of these guys are. The vertex is, let's just take a simple quadratic here. You know this, actually let me draw it right. Okay? This is y equals x squared. Okay? So the vertex is the tip of the function. Alright, so the tip of the function would be right here. God damn it. Alright. Oh no, I broke my marker. Right here. Okay, that's the tip of the function. So, because you know x squared enough, just x squared itself, you can tell me that the tip of the function would be 0, 0. Okay? It's pretty simple because, you know, it's touching the x-axis. Okay, intercepts. Now, with intercepts, you have y-intercept, and you have x-intercept. Okay? Now, how to find those? Y-intercept is, I'm going to draw a little, y-intercept is, look at it over here. Y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. right? Because right here, x is equal to 0. Y is coincidentally also equal to 0. But imagine if you push the function up, you go 0 over left or right, and that's where your y value is. So for y-intercept, plug in 0 into x. In other words, f of 0. Okay? For the x-intercept is you have to solve the quadratic. So factor, quadratic formula, difference of squares, any one of those methods. So solve quadratic. Okay? So in this case, if you plug in 0 into here, into x, you get y equals 0. So y-intercept is 0, which you can see because it's right here, it's 0. But since that point, you have to actually write it down. So x equals 0, y equals 0. And x-intercept is it touches the x-axis, and that's considered a root. Therefore, if you would actually solve this, you would get a double root of x equals 0, x equals 0, because it touched it twice. Don't worry about that. We didn't do it. Okay, finally, axis symmetry. You know what symmetric means? It's like a mirror on both sides, it's the same. So you're basically trying to find on what part of it is it both same on both sides. Obviously, you can kind of see it's right here at the equation x equals to 0. Because y equals is any kind of function like this, but when you have a vertical function, like a vertical line, you write it as x equals 2. Okay, so your equation of the axis symmetry for x squared is x equals 0. Now we're going to actually do your problem. We're going to see what we get. Now, if you look at this, I don't really know what it looks like yet, so we're going to start with the vertex. Now, the vertex, it has a formula to calculate, so we're going to write that right here. Vertex calculate the vertex, do negative b over 2a. Okay, that's your formula. Notice it's part of the quadratic formula. Okay, it's just a little cut off. So you do that and you get your x of vertex. And what you do then is when you get the x, you plug it into here and you get your y. Because it's a point, you have to find the point of vertex. Okay? So here. Now find your a and b. Don't get confused. Remember, I just said before, a is the leading coefficient of the x squared. They try to trick you by writing the c, b, a instead of a, b, c. Right? So don't get confused. If you do get confused, write every single quadratic like so. Plus x squared, so x squared, plus 7x, plus 7x, plus 10, plus 10. Okay, rewrite it so it looks like this. And now you get a equals to 1, b equals to 7 right here. Okay? Now you can plug this into here. Negative b, so negative 7 over 2a, 2 times 1. So you get 7, negative 7 over 2, which is equal to negative 3.5. Okay? Now, you have to plug that into here to get your y value for this. So we're going to do that right now. You can, let's do that. So I'm gonna stick to negative 3.5 because I like that as to identify a point. I'll write it over here. Vertex as a solution. So you found the x value of your vertex. So you got right over here negative 3.5 as a a point, because the left side is the point, the right side is the y value. Or never mind, you get what I say. Okay. So I'm gonna plug it in. I'm gonna erase this because it's kind of getting too much on the board. Okay, so 10 plus 7 times 3.5, negative, crap, plus negative 3.5 squared. And I'm going to use a calculator for this because it is kind of hard. So Yeah. 10 plus 7 times -5 plus negative 3.5 squared. Alright. Let me turn my classic one on real quick. Okay. So you get that this is y equals to. Y equals to negative 2.25. Yes? Okay. So this is negative 2.25. Alright? Next part. Well, actually, I should have written that over here. For vertex, negative b over 2a equals x. Okay? And then equation of axis symmetry is, we'll get there. Alright, so next step is intercepts. Okay? So first up is the y-intercept. Okay, I'm going to work over here again. Plug in 0 into x. Okay, so you have f of 0 equals 10 plus 7 times 0 plus 0 squared. 7 times 0 is 0. 0 squared is 0, so you get f of 0 equals 10. Okay? So I'm going to write here y-intercept equals, actually, no, just colon. And if you remember, this is a point again. So x equals to 0, and y equals to 10. So here, really quick so you don't get confused. I'm going to write x-intercept. Y-intercept is when x equals to 0. X-intercept is when y equals to 0. So you can always write those right ahead so you don't get confused. Okay, so y-intercept again, x equals 0. X-intercept, y equals 0. Okay, so here, now we've got to solve this quadratic to find the x-intercept. Okay, actually there's two of them because it's a quadratic. Now, I'm going to again rewrite this because I like it better as x squared plus 7x plus 10. And I'm going to factor. So, what two values multiply to give you 10? Well, you got 1 and 10, and 10 and 1, and 2 and 5, and 5 and 2. Alright? Those are your four possibilities. So now, 1 times 5 is 10. 1 plus, actually these could both be negative also. Yeah, whatever. Negative 1 minus 10 is negative 11. That's not what we're looking for. It has to be positive. By the way, since they're both positive, they have to all be positive. There can be no negative. But anyway, I'm just trying to stall it so it's a little bit, see it a little bit more clear. So 10 and 1 gives you 11 or some other thing. If it's not going to give you 7. 5 and 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 plus 5 is 7. Bingo, that's it. So you get x plus 2, x plus 5. Okay, let's check it. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. 2 times x is 2x. 5x plus 2x is 7x. Good. 2 times 5 is 10, so we're good. So now, the thing is, this is supposed to equal to 0, right? So this is multiplication. If one of these parentheses guys, they're called binomials, equals to 0, the whole thing equals to 0. That's why they're called zeros. So, what makes this equal to 0 when x is negative 2? Because negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so you're good. Because then 0 times whatever this is 0. It doesn't matter. So, x equals negative 2. Over here, x equals negative 5. Again, negative 5 in here will make this 0. Also pick up the trend. If you see x plus 2, x equals to negative 2. The negative of what you have inside. If you have x plus 5, x is going to equal negative 5. Alright? So over here you can now write negative 2, and then you have another one, negative 5, and 0. Alright? I'm going to erase this part. Finally, we are at equation of line axis symmetry. Actually, to find this, let's graph it first, because I think it's just the vertex. Give me 1 second. Let's just graph it first. I'm not sure about this. Okay, so if you want to graph this, look at what you have given. You have given it has a y-intercept at 0, 10, so it's going to intersect at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to intersect right here, okay? It intersects at negative 2, 0, 1, 2, right here. And it intersects at negative 5, 0, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here, okay? So, it has a vertex of negative 3.5, which is like right here, negative 2.5, so about here, just estimating here, okay? So that means your thing looks like this, okay? So now your line of symmetry, or equation of symmetry, axis symmetry, what am I saying, is you take your vertex x value, negative 3.5, and you just say x equals to that. That's all you have to do. So, axis of symmetry you do x equals to what you got for your vertex, negative 3.5. Because that means that you're saying x equals negative 3.5. There you go. That's your axis symmetry. That's a line right here, and that's it. Alright, so that's that. That was, holy shit, that was long. Okay, I'm going to have to cut that up. Alright, let's take a break right here. Alright, so, I'm back. I ate a little dinner. So now the last one. I took some notes, but these ones are kind of tough for a night. I don't really remember how to do them anymore. So yeah, so what you do for this is, first of all, you have to remember a couple of your log rules. Okay, logarithms are a little tricky, I think. So here's a log rule that you should remember. Okay, log of and now with log, I mean any log. Log base 2, log base 3, log base 10, log base e, which is natural log. So log of a, and with a I mean any number, plus the log of b. And now, important to note, the thing down here has to be the same. So over here we have the same as base 2, so we're good. Alright? That is the same thing as the log, again, base x, the same what you have before, of a times b. And it's very important to note this. Here it's adding, but then you have to multiply them together, right? And I actually didn't remember this, but now I will. This is the log rule you have to remember. That's the first step. So if you now apply this log rule, you get log base 2 of x times x minus 3 equals 2. So that's the same thing as saying log base 2 of x squared minus 3x equals 2. Now, going from here, you have to remember what logarithm really means. If you say, for instance, 2 to the third, it's 2 times 2 is 8, then we would say that the log base 2, okay, so we are multiplying 2 to each other, so the base is 2 of 8, alright, so in other words, how many times does 2 go into 8? What's the power we need? Equals, what power do we need? We need the 3, alright? So you have to remember this format. So now applied over here, you have log base 2 of x squared minus 3x equals 2. Okay, if you look at here, let me get some colors. Let me get green. Okay, so if you look at here, this 2 went down here. This 3 is over here. And this 8 is over here. Now, if we do this the same thing with here, we will get 2 is here. 8 was the thing that was here. So that means 8 is this thing. And 3 is this thing, the 2. Alright? So now if we order it the way it is over here, we would get that the green thing, 2, to the blue power 2 equals to the red thing, x squared minus 3x. See what I did there? I'm just trying to like show you the order so you kind of have a better understanding of it. Alright? So we would get that therefore x squared minus 3x is equal to 4, which means that x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0, and with the glare. Alright, which means that we can factor this or use quadratic formula, but again I'm going to factor this faster. And you would get xx negative 4, so I'm going to have 2 and 2. But 2 and 2 is wrong. My bad. 4 and 1. Okay? One of them is going to be negative, because it's going to be negative, and then it's negative 3, so the bigger one has to be negative. Check your answer. Negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. We're good on that. Minus 4 plus 1 is negative 3, so we're good on that. So we're good. So that means, again, remember what I said before. It is the opposite of what's in the parentheses, so it's x equals 5, x equals negative 1. And that is your answer. If you would want to check it, you can plug both of them in here and see if your answer is right. Alright, so the last problem is find out how long it takes $2,600 investment to earn $400 interest if it is invested 9% compounded monthly. Round to the nearest tenth of a year, use the formula A equals P1 plus Rn quantity to the power nt. Now, first of all, my marker is fading, so this will be one of the last times he will be here. Okay? First thing you have to do is realize what all of your here, I won't use this anymore. Let's see how this one is doing. Yeah, pretty damn good. Alright. I need new markers. You need to realize what all these guys mean. Okay, so we're gonna just make a little list over here. A, P, R, N, and T. Alright? A is your total amount of money. So after all the saving is over, how much money will you actually have in the end? Okay? Total dollars in end. Alright? P is principal. It's how much money do you have in the beginning? Or dollars. Dollars in beginning. Alright? R is your rate. In other words, how fast is your money growing? N is how many times per year are you compounding? Compounding means like the money comes to it. Times per year. Compounded. And T finally is how many years? So how many years are you saving? Alright? So take a quick look at them because I'm going to erase them. Because I need the space. Now, let's not start with A, let's start with P. How long does it take? $2,600 investment. That tells you it's the starting point. That's the money you have at the beginning. $2,600. To earn $400 of interest. Now, $400 is what you get to it in the end, but you already had $2,600, so your A is going to be both of those together because it's your total amount of money. You didn't lose any money, you gained 400, so it's 3,000. Your R, it says, is 9%. Now, when you do percentage, you can't write 9. 9% is 9%. 9% means 100. So 9% means 9 over 100, which is 0.09. So fraction, percent converted to a over 100 system, okay? N, compounded monthly. There's 12 months in a year, so N is 12, and T is what you're trying to find, okay? So, if we set this up, we get 3,000 equals 2,600, parenthesis open, 1 plus 0.09 over 12 to the power 12t. Alright? Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to realize these two are multiplying. So I'm just going to do 3,000 divided by 600, or 3,000 divided by 2,600, which gives you 30 over 26. I'm just going to keep it like that. And then I'm going to add 1 plus 0.09 over 12, which gives you 1.0075 to the power 12t. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 12 roots of both sides, because this is to the power 12 and this is to the power 1. So if I take the 12 root of this 12 will go away and I'm going to be left with t. So 12 of 30 over 26 equals 1.075 to the power t. Now this is where our logarithms come in, because what this means is what power of 1.075, actually, fuck, my bad, there's double zero right here. Okay, here we go. What power of 1.0075, in other words, how many times do we have to multiply 1.0075 to itself until we get this number? 12 root of 30 over 26 is just some number, don't even worry about it. Alright? So, what this means in logarithm terms, if you watch the previous problem, you will see that this means that the log base what number times each other, which is 1.0075, okay, of your number that you're trying to get, 12 root of 30 over 26, equals to t. Now, if you plug this in your calculator, here's the thing. Some teachers say, okay, I have this guy, pretty standard issue, all of America has it. Now, the silver edition has a log-based solver, which means you can actually plug it just like it stands right there in your calculator and it will give you it. But most of the teachers are like, oh no, calculus can't do logs. So what they want you to do is, I'm going to erase this over here, apply this change of base formula. The change of base formula says this: log of base x of a, alright? Just like that. Is the same thing as saying log of, for instance, 10 of a over log 10 of x. Now, the important part to note is this: 10, there is, the log base 10 is just the log button on your calculator, okay? If you press this button, this will work. This, so the big number, log, divided by the small number, log, okay? Or you could, for instance, you don't have to do log base 10. You can do natural log of a over natural log of x. The point is, you can do any two logs that are the same, and this way, this will be the same. So, this is called the change of base formula. I'm going to keep it over here. Pretty important. So, no matter how, I'll set this up for you so you can see how to do it. I'm going to use log, not natural log, just so, I don't know. So, this thing is the same thing as saying that the log of the 12th root of 30 over 26 over log of 1.0075. No matter which method you get, you get that t is equal to, actually let me erase some stuff, I'll write it over here. T is equal to, where's my cheat sheet? Right I didn't actually calculate t. So give me 1 second. I will do this right now. Log base 1.0075 of the 12th root of 30 divided by 26. T is 1.59596. Now, this is correct, but round to the nearest tenth of a year. Alright, so that's the thing. So T, you got 1 year. You can say that, year. 1 year, because it's 1 point something. So now let's take care of this. This is a little bit more than half a year, so it's a little bit more than 6 months. Alright? And then you got 0.6. So 6 over 10, because it's 0.6, 6 divided by 10, is the same thing as what divided by 12. I'm doing 6 because I rounded up a little, because it's nearest 10, right? Is what over 12. So I'm going to cross multiply. Obviously, I hope you see what I'm doing over here. 6 times 12 is 72. I should know that. Equals 10x. So that means you get approximately 7 months. Alright? So 1 year, 7 months. And that's your answer. Thanks for watching my videos. Thank you for asking me for help. I'm sorry I'm late again. Enjoy.